for me as a pedagogue working with them, because it gets pretty despairing on days when you walk into that class and there are a lot of blank faces, or if there's any diminution of the light in the room, right? You can see the glow of the phone on their face, and it gets increasingly difficult to stand up there and talk. As I said, why aren't you reading? This one shy woman in the front row, sort of slowly raised her hand and said, we don't know what it means. I said, what do you mean you don't know what it means? And she said, well, we can read the words, but we have no idea what this is saying. And then I felt sad, right? Then I felt bad for them, right? Because it was just clear that even when they tried, they couldn't do this. Like something had happened, right? In their ability to comprehend the text, their ability to make sense of what these people were talking about. They bombed a midterm, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to, give them a chance to redeem themselves because they really bombed it. And then I came up, I said, okay, maybe I'm just going to do a thing. You have to give me your cell phone for a week. No cell phones for a week. You give me your cell phone, and then I give you a little bit of instructions, and then you go ahead and you write about what it was like to lose your cell phone, what it was like to live without your cell phone for a week. So I said it sort of in a lark, and then they came back the next week and they said, yeah, we'd like to do it. And I said, okay. So I brought my box, and out of the 35 students in the class, 11 came up and one by one dropped their cell phones in the box. And the first and most fascinating thing was that this was the best rating I received from them, without exception, over the whole term. It was something, I said, I just want you to tell me what it was like to live without a cell phone. On the day that the cell phones went back to the students, a young woman came to my door and she said to me, I've never been so happy to see you in my entire life. I said, yeah, that probably has nothing to do, it's probably not because you want to come and hear my talk about Plato. Give me my cell phone. And he said, all in all, I have to tell you, this was the worst experience of my life. I'll never do this again. This is madness to live without this thing. Oh, I thought I was just going to get a bunch of junk. Because there were 3 grading categories. You did a great job, you get 5 points. You did the assignment, you get 3. Satisfactorily, and there are words on page, you get 1 point out of the 5 bonus points, and everybody got 5 without exception. And as I said, I was stunned. I don't know, I had this feeling, okay, so they're writing about something that matters to them, right? And then suddenly the writing changes. You're trying to get them to write about Plato. I mean, Plato does matter to them, right? They don't know it, but it does. It can. But the cell phone and all that implies for their lives matters to them immensely. And they start talking about it, and immediately they have something to say. Young, tough island guys who wrote eloquently and beautifully about what that cell phone, they felt, had done to them, robbed them of their ability to talk to their friends. One young woman said it was like, I'm the third wheel on the date. It's that person and their phone that's really that's the real love relationship, and I'm just sort of along for the ride. And anyways, I had these guys driving. I'm waiting for the parents to call me, right? Driving over the Hillsborough River, one guy, and he said he took his cell phone and said, I've had it with this shit, and threw the thing out the window into the Hillsborough River, his smartphone. I'm not trying ideologically, I'm not trying to tell them to do these things, right? I'm just saying, these things are ubiquitous. Just try something else and see what it's like, see if you like it better, and I would say that in probably 90% of the cases they said that there's something really wrong with us. This constant, fussing with these phones, this constant ability, this constant desire to be on this thing, inability to be in public without it, the inability, to look at people, right? To look at people. I mean, the rule now is, text before you talk. If you go up to someone and talk to them without having had any sort of, having an electronic relationship with them, they say you're a creep. Cell phones have ruined university classrooms. You can't give a lecture. You can't talk. The idea that we will all be here together at the same time, doing something together is no longer possible because everybody has that thing on their lap, under their desk. I mean, in my other classes, they're taught by multiple faculty members, so we circulate back into the crowd and we look at it, and between laptops and cell phones, 60-70% of the class is doing something else. So, the lecture is one of the options available to students in the classroom today. There are other options available. There's conversations with your friends, there's shopping online, and for the most part there's texting, right? So these cell phones, they're the death of the university classroom for me. I think they're also largely responsible, for the diminution of the attention span of these students, right? Part of the difficulty is they can't read a text because they simply can't pay attention for that long. It's hard, right? If you're going to read Plato, or you're going to read Hobbes, or you're going to read anything that's longer than a snippet, you have to be, that takes practice. So it really struck me pedagogically as a way of talking to people. It might be that the way that the university worked before is not going to work anymore. Socrates, to take one example, met people where they were. It was a very important question. Who am I talking to? What are they? What is the shape of their lives? What are their longings? What are they like? And that somehow if you talk to them there, you had a chance of saying something, having a conversation. These kids know what's happening to them. These kids know what's happening to them. And if they're given half a chance to talk about it, we've made them stupider than their natures want to be. They know what this world is like. They know what's happening to them. And if you just give them a chance, it doesn't mean, they might have a hard time changing. Who doesn't, right? Because that's the way their world works. It works that way. They know that, right? But their ability to recognize that their lives are bigger than all these things, they know that.